All right, Cowboys Nation, listen up, because what I'm about to show you is going to blow your mind. And before we dive in, make sure you smash that subscribe button right now, because we're breaking down every Cowboys move the moment it happens. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming this offseason. Now I know what you're thinking. Here we go again with another offseason full of hope and hype. But hold on, because the NFL just dropped the official Super Bowl logo for next season, and people are losing their minds over the color scheme. You've probably seen this theory floating around where fans try to predict which teams are making the Super Bowl based on the colors in the logo, right? Some people looked at this thing and immediately screamed Eagles because of the dark green shade. But let me tell you something right now. Philadelphia is about to have a complete disaster of a season. They're dealing with locker room chaos, contract drama, and the same exact Super Bowl hangover that destroyed the Chiefs the year after they won it all. So throw that theory out the window. Then I saw some people saying it's the Dolphins' colors, and I almost lost it. Because are we even watching the same league? Miami doesn't even have a functional quarterback right now. They're in full crisis mode with Tua's situation, and they're about to tear that roster down and rebuild from scratch. So it definitely ain't them. But here's what nobody is talking about, and this is where it gets absolutely wild. If you look closely at that Super Bowl logo, especially the wave design in the middle, there's a very specific shade that jumps out. It's not dark green. It's not turquoise. It's something way more familiar to us Cowboys fans. I'm talking about that iconic seafoam green that our team has rocked for decades on those legendary pants. Now I know some of y'all are probably laughing right now, thinking this is just another conspiracy theory. But hear me out, because there's actual history behind this color. The Dallas Cowboys official website and their YouTube channel did a whole breakdown on why our pants are that unique color. And it's one of the coolest stories in franchise history. It all started back in the 1960s with Tex Schramm, who was absolutely obsessed with innovation and standing out. One day, he saw a car with this custom interior color that just mesmerized him. And he decided right then and there that the Cowboys needed pants in that exact shade. He wanted something that would pop on television screens, back before HD was even a thing. So they created this custom dye that gave the pants a silver tint on old TVs. But the actual color was this unique blue-green blend that they called Cowboys Star Blue. And here's the crazy part. Because it was a custom dye job, the shade would actually vary slightly from year to year and from manufacturer to manufacturer. Over time, especially when the NFL switched to Nike as the uniform provider in the mid-2000s, color evolved into what we now recognize as seafoam green. It's literally a one-of-a-kind color, designed specifically for America's team. So when I look at that Super Bowl logo and see that exact shade sitting right there in the middle, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I'm also not saying it's a coincidence. The NFL knows what they're doing with these logos, and if we're playing the color theory game, then that is absolutely our color. Cowboys versus Bengals. Cowboys versus Chiefs. Cowboys versus Broncos. I don't care who it is, but that seafoam green is ours, and I'm choosing to believe this is a sign. Now let's get serious for a second, because while the logo stuff is fun and games, there are real reasons to be excited about this Cowboys team heading into next season. And I'm not just talking about blind homerism. I'm talking about legitimate football reasons. First of all, you know for a fact that this offense is going to be elite. We've got the weapons, we've got the scheme, and we've got a quarterback who just keeps proving doubters wrong year after year. On top of that, the front office finally brought in some of the brightest defensive minds in the entire league. We're talking coordinators and position coaches who have proven they can develop young talent and create game plans that win in January. Plus, and this is huge, Dallas is sitting on over $100 million in cap space ready to be deployed this offseason. That's not monopoly money. That's real resources to rebuild the defense and fill the holes that killed us last year. So when I say we should be excited, I mean it. This team has everything it needs to not just make the playoffs, but to actually compete for a championship. At minimum, we should be in the dance next season. And if things break right, we could be making a real run at the promised land. And speaking of reasons to be excited, let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention in this media landscape. I'm talking about the actual human side of this team and the leaders in that locker room. Because while everyone wants to debate stats and contracts and playoff records, there's a whole layer of what makes a team great that flies completely under the radar. That's why I want to highlight something that former Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz said recently about Dak Prescott. Now, Dalton is currently playing in Houston with C.J. Stroud, so he's been around other quarterbacks and other locker rooms since leaving Dallas. But when he was asked about Dak and what makes him special, Dalton didn't hold back. He said flat out that Dak is the best leader he's ever been around in his entire life. Think about that for a second. This dude has played with multiple quarterbacks at multiple levels, and he's saying Dak is at the top. Dalton talked about how people who criticize Dak completely miss the plot, because they don't understand what a quarterback with that level of integrity and leadership can do for an entire franchise. He said unless you've been in the locker room with him, worked out with him, trained with him, and spent real time around him, you just can't fully grasp how infectious his energy and leadership really are. And here's the part that really got me. Dalton said that as a young player coming into the league, Dak was like a beacon showing him exactly how a professional should carry himself. He said Dak believed in him before he even believed in himself. When Dalton was doubting his abilities as a rookie, Dak would look him in the eye and say, "The ball is coming to you because I believe in you." That's not just throwing checkdowns to a safety valve. That's mentally building up a young player and giving him the confidence to become something more. Dalton literally said he owes so much of his career and success to Dak, and that Dak would probably deny it because he's that humble, but it's the truth. Now that right there is what separates great quarterbacks from just good ones. Anybody can put up stats in garbage time or when the system is perfect around them. But can you elevate the guys around you? Can you make a second-year tight end believe he's capable of being a weapon? Can you create a culture where guys want to run through walls for you? That's the stuff that matters in January. And that's exactly what Dak brings to this team. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is because we need more of this type of content in the Cowboys media world. I'm so tired of the drama-baiting nonsense where people go out and find former players who have an axe to grind just so they can create fake controversy. You know exactly what I'm talking about. These media companies will deliberately ask loaded questions to people they know will trash the Cowboys, just so their on-air personalities can play hero and defend the team. It's manufactured drama designed to get clicks and views, and it does nothing to actually inform fans about what's really happening. Contrast that with what Dalton Schultz did, which was give genuine insight into who Dak is as a leader and what he means to the guys in that building. That's real content. That's the stuff that helps us understand our team on a deeper level. I want to hear from guys who actually played with our core players. I want to know what Micah Parsons is like in film sessions. I want to know how CeeDee Lamb prepares during the week. I want to know what the coaching staff is like behind closed doors. Give me that instead of recycling the same tired narratives about choking in the playoffs. And while we're on the topic of lazy narratives, let's talk about the Micah Parsons contract situation, because I've been hearing some absolutely ridiculous takes lately. There are people out there saying that if the Cowboys use the franchise tag on Micah, he might not give full effort, or that we won't get the best version of him. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, and it's a passive-aggressive way to paint Micah as unprofessional or as a problem child. Let's be real for a second. The franchise tag for a defensive player of Micah's caliber would be worth around $28 million guaranteed for one season. That's more money than he's made in his entire career up to this point. You're trying to tell me that a grown man with a family to provide for and a legacy to build is going to go out there and give half effort for $28 million. That's not how professional athletes think, and it's definitely not how Micah Parsons operates. Only fans, sitting on their couch with zero skin in the game, have the luxury of thinking someone would coast on a franchise tag. If you actually step on a football field and try to play at half speed, you're going to get destroyed. You're going to get embarrassed, and you're going to hurt your value for the next contract. Micah knows this. His agent knows this. And anyone with a functional brain knows this. So stop with the disrespectful narratives that question his professionalism. The reality is, Micah is going to ball out, whether he's on the tag or on a long-term extension, because that's who he is as a competitor. Now, I'm not saying the tag is the ideal solution. Obviously, a long-term deal that keeps him in Dallas for the next decade is what we all want. But acting like he's going to sabotage his own career over it is just silly, and it shows you're thinking like a fan instead of thinking like a businessman. These guys understand the business side of football way better than we do, and they handle it like professionals, even when it's not ideal. So let's give Micah the respect he deserves, and trust that whatever happens with his contract, he's going to be the same game wrecker he's been since day one. All right, so let me bring this all together, because I know we covered a lot of ground today. We started with some fun Super Bowl logo conspiracy theories, and yeah, I know it's mostly just for laughs. But there's a tiny part of me that sees that seafoam green and thinks, maybe, just maybe, the football gods are telling us something. Whether you buy into that or not, the real point is this. There are legitimate reasons to be hyped about this Cowboys team going into next season. We've got the offensive firepower. We've got new defensive coaching. We've got cap space to fix our weaknesses. And most importantly, we've got leaders in that locker room like Dak Prescott who are building a culture that can sustain success. The Dalton Schultz interview reminded me that there's so much happening behind the scenes that we don't see. The way Dak invests in his teammates, the way he builds their confidence, the way he leads by example every single day. That's the foundation of championship teams. And yeah, we've had our heartbreaks in the playoffs. And yeah, the national media loves to clown us every chance they get. But I'm telling you right now, this upcoming season feels different. The pieces are there, the motivation is there, and the window is wide open. So to everyone watching right now, I want to know what you think. Do you believe this is finally the year we break through? Are you excited about what this front office is building? Do you think that Super Bowl logo is secretly Cowboys colors, or am I just reaching? Drop your take in the comments right now, because I love hearing from y'all and having these conversations. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do that right now, because we're going to be covering every single move this offseason, from free agency to the draft to training camp and beyond. I'm talking daily updates, breaking news, film breakdowns, all of it. This is the year, Cowboys Nation. I can feel it. We've got the talent, we've got the leadership, we've got the resources, and maybe, just maybe, we've got the Super Bowl logo on our side. How about them Cowboys? Let's go get it done.